What makes you smile? This is the question that my guest posed to several school children at a local school recently. She was acting upon a strong inspiration and motivation to teach gratitude to schools. Her intention then was to teach children throughout Scotland where she lives, and then maybe to extend that to the UK. But that was not enough for my guest. She wanted to go even bigger. She wanted to connect children around the world through an awareness of gratitude, a new awareness of gratitude, and also to give them the gift of gratitude, both literally and metaphorically. This was to become a project which is known as the Global Gratitude Project. And the creator of that project is my guest today, Lindsay Gale. Lindsay, thank you very much for joining me. Such a pleasure, and thank you for making your garden available for this interview. We're actually filming here today in Scotland, where Lindsay lives. We are actually overlooking, can't see it from the camera, but to my left here is the Sound of Mull, and we're surrounded by beautiful countryside, beautiful nature. You'll be hearing, probably throughout the interview, birds chirping and singing in the background. You may hear the occasional sheep. This is all part of the show, you might say. So, Lindsay, how did this inspiration start? Was there a spark that brought this to life?
The spark that lit within inside of me was when I was in England and I was living a very materialistic life, which I'm really grateful for. But I felt that there was more, and there was something that was missing. So I decided to move from the middle of England to Somerset, to be nearer to Glastonbury, to find and speak to more spiritual people in Glastonbury, and to try and find out what it was within me that I needed to know. And from being in Glastonbury, I met some wonderful people with the Oneness movement, and I went to India. In India, I cleared a lot of negative blocks which were inside of me, and came back to Somerset and thought that I would love to just go and be in the wilds and be in nature. And synchronicity happened, and a friend phoned me and said, would I like to come and look at some land in Scotland? And I came up and just fell in love with the hills, the wildness, the nature, and knew that that's where I needed to be, and that I could leave my life behind and be here in my croft cottage with the water from the burn and a wood burning stove, and just see what happens. And that's what I did. And 5.5 years later, I just came to find that I loved working with children, and that after lots of research on gratitude, that it's something that I would love to get into schools throughout Scotland, the UK, and then connecting children in the Global Gratitude Project, so children can teach and learn from each other, which is my main aim, is that the children are interacting with each other, beautiful, and teaching each other and learning from each other. And that's how it came to be. Wonderful.
I mean, so far as I'm aware, this is a unique project. I mean, it really is. I've not heard of anything similar at all. And being, if you like, created by, you know, a single person without, I mean, where's your support? Do you have people working with you or around you? How is it working on a sort of day-to-day basis?
At the moment, it's in its infancy, and just the past few weeks I've just been putting the message out there, and I've connected to Peru, to India, to New York, Vermont, Ghana, and that's in the past few weeks, and it's amazing. I've just started the energy moving, and it's just all happening now, and it's just really fun. It's great. It's exciting.
Fantastic, fantastic. How was, I mean, this is aimed at, as I understand it, children of school age. Is there a specific age group, or is it how?
No, well, I wrote a gratitude workshop which I taught in the local school here, and I started with 7 to 12-year-olds, and it worked wonderfully. So I thought I'll try the infant side, and they had a great time, and we were dancing and laughing, and it was amazing. So I would say from 4 upwards, that they understand and they have a really good feeling for it, and they know exactly what it means. Yes, so that's the age group, from 4 upwards.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about your personal story. Tell us about your own childhood. Was gratitude, I mean, was this something you were taught by your parents? How did you grow up in a grateful environment, if I can put it that way?
My childhood, my father loved nature and loves nature, and he introduced me to being still and watching and really appreciating my surroundings. So I learnt that from him, and from my mother. There were 6 of us within the family, and she fostered children, and she does have such a beautiful, kind, loving heart, and so I learnt that from her, very compassionate, and to bring everybody in and accept everybody, and they were wonderful gifts to be given as a child.
So your love of nature was very much from an early age?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a very good friend, my best friend, who lived in the wilds, and we used to run around naked and climb trees and just it's just a wonderful wild childhood, and I'm back there now here in Scotland, and
it's beautiful.
It's part of who I am.
Absolutely. Fantastic. How was it sort of spawned? I mean, were you thinking, well, I'll start with a workshop? I mean, how was the idea of a workshop, how did that originate? Was it an inspiration? How did it come?
Well, I'd been doing healing workshops as well, as I've done one with you as well, and gratitude was within that healing workshop, and seems to be that in all healings there was gratefulness, and it just made me feel that if children could be involved and it's a natural element to people anyway, and if it can be inspired within children to see that and use it on a daily basis, then it would just make the world just a better place to be in, away from what is happening now within the world, where there's just more technology, and they kind of lose their sense of naturalness, and gratitude is a natural aspect of all human beings. So I thought it'd be really good to be able to get this into schools and bring that awareness to children.
And the aim is actually, as I understand it, more than to make a connection. I mean, as I understand it, you see gratitude, like I think quite a few other spiritual teachers, as a way of, enabling people to expand their awareness, their consciousness, to actually get to a place where, life becomes easier and more enjoyable and less stressful. Is that right?
I think if you have a grateful heart and you're grateful within you, then there's less wanting, and wanting brings a lot of suffering. So if you're always grateful for, not always, but a lot of the time you're grateful for what is around you and what you have already, it just makes life much happier and fulfilling and full.
Wonderful. Tell us a little more about the response you got from the children when you went to the classroom. I mean, that must have been really exciting for you and for the kids as well, right? Something completely new for them, I imagine.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I didn't know how it would be received, and I thought back to myself being a child, and if I got somebody in front of me saying, what makes you smile? I mean, that's an amazing question to have. And I went in there, and I put music on and they were dancing around to lift their spirits, because when you're grateful you have a lifted spirit. We did a rhyme, so they were learning actions which makes them laugh, and they then did the rhyme to their teacher, and she had tears in her eyes when she came back into the classroom.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
and then they had this gift which I gave them with 2 shells. One is for them and one is for them to give to somebody that they're grateful to, and they were just amazed at having this small thing just made them really happy. It was something for them and something for them to give away, so they were receiving and giving at the same time, which is something that I'm going to carry on throughout the Global Gratitude project.
Beautiful. And when you first went into the school, I mean, they were very receptive? Was there any resistance? I mean, it's obviously not on the curriculum, as I understand. I don't know, do primary schools have curriculum? But
yes.
So you were offering them something that was actually not part of their existing teaching, right?
Exactly, yes. The older ones are a bit more subdued, but as soon as they got into it and they were discussing it with each other, and they came up and wrote things on the board, things that they were grateful for, and I gave them a journal, and they could cover the journal in whatever they wanted to, make it their own personal book, and they just really loved, because it's something that's very personal to them as well, and it's what they are grateful for. There's no teaching that this is how you should be, or this is a certain way of being. You know, it's what does it mean to you, and so it's what's inside them, and that's very liberating for them to feel that they're not actually being strictly told that something has to be this way.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good point, isn't it? Because maybe for parents listening to this is not about teaching the kids how to say please and thank you, is it?
No.
It's much more, right? As I understand it. So, to be clear on that, and to develop an attitude of gratitude. That's
as the time goes, if the teachers will take it on board and do it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, then research, if you want to look at research and be scientific, has shown that as the more that they can do this, then their awareness and their attitude actually do have this attitude of gratitude, and it just brings a lot more connectedness between all of the pupils in the school, between pupil-teacher relationships. So yes, it will be wonderful.
And maybe they can teach their parents as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I understand it, Lindsay, I mean, it's much more, isn't it, than going into schools. That's how it started out. Now you're looking at connecting with organisations all around the world, which you mentioned,
Yes.
Peru and so on. So how do you see that, and what's the practical, what do you give them in a practical sense? What do you offer them?
Just recently, with the connections that I've been making on a global scale, I've collected hundreds of shells off the beach, which I've written thank you in. I just paint a little heart on. I put them inside a little bag, and I'm sending those off to get the energy moving to the organisations that I've connected with. So each child will have this bag with the 2 shells in, one for them to keep to remind them of what they're grateful for, and one for them to give away. And very shortly there will be a website, so these children can then connect on the website. They can, if there's little stories that come out of it, if they want to draw pictures, just everybody will be on there. So the schools here in Scotland and the organisations here in Scotland, they will be able to connect to them and share whatever it is they're grateful for, all their stories and pictures and everything. And there will be the sharing, and in that sharing they will teach each other and learn from each other.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, this is so wonderfully conceived, isn't it? I mean, so it's simple, yet it's so wonderfully conceived, you know, if I may say so. I mean, just my opinion. But we do in fact have, don't we? I don't know if you want to...
Yes. These are the little bags that they will be receiving.
To show and explain it. Those are the little bags that they get.
There's just the 2 shells inside here.
And these are seashells, right?
These
that
are
you've
seashells
collected
just
from the local
beach
shore.
just down there. So they've just got "thank you" written on the inside and little hearts on the outside. And eventually I will have to have gifts made up, because I've already received the information from Children of the Earth that they've got 15,000 children.
Wow.
And that they would like to receive gifts, so I'm going to have something made up for,
Wow.
for all of them.
That's enormous. So already it's really taken off, hasn't it? That's incredible, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now you've also written a book.
I have, yes. It's a book in rhyme, and it started off from being here on my own. My first dog died 2 years after I came here, and I was given a gift of a pup. And her name is Selkie. Selkie is a mystical character from the Scottish Highlands, and she, in the mystical sense, she was a seal that turned into a woman and enticed fishermen. But I just love the idea of the seal, and Selkie, when she's swimming in the sea, my dog Selkie, looks like a seal, and I decided that she would turn into a Selkie, but she had wonderful gifts of life lessons to give, and I've written them as she's given them to me in rhyme. So there's
Oh, tell us what the book's called.
it's called Selkie's Secrets to Happiness.
Right, easy for me to say. Selkie's Secrets to Happiness. Right,
Yes.
fantastic.
So there's
And you've got pictures.
I've got pictures of her and I within the scenery down here, and then there's a cartoon of her as well for the children to connect to. So it's a book where children can read it with their parents, and they talk about the different aspects that are in here. There's the one on gratitude,
Right.
and they can talk about that together and learn together. And yes, so
Beautiful.
that's her.
Beautiful. And you also give, as I understand it, another gift. Gratitude journal?
A gratitude journal. I'd like every child to receive a gratitude journal. They have been used for quite a few years now, and a lot on an adult basis, and a lot probably more on teenage basis as well. But I would like all the children that are involved to receive one, because how that helps is, it's just tremendous actually. If a child, either they can use them in school, before they go to bed is a good time, when they wake up is a good time. Just write a few little things the things that they're grateful for, either that day, or it doesn't matter. It's personal to them again. Or if they're younger children, they can draw pictures, and it's just something that it enlivens them for that day. And it's very good. It's very good. I'd like all of them to receive them.
The book is going to be published, is it? What's your intention regarding that? Or
I'd like it to be published, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure when it will be. I'm concentrating on the project at the moment, and she has got her emblem, her sign, with the little bags, and we'll just see what happens with that in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the book is like, or Selkie, the character, is like a symbol, if you like, of what you're doing, a symbol of the project. Is that right? Am I understanding it correctly?
Yes, I'm using her as a symbol because it's very child friendly, and it's got a beautiful feel around it. So yes, I'm using that as a symbol within the work.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for just living here in the wilds and being connected to nature. Is my huge thing. I love being connected to nature, and for being able to do this work as well. I mean, I get up in the morning and it's just like, wow, I can connect these people and these children all around the world in gratefulness, and it's just amazing. It's just so enlivening.
So, Lindsay, the project, it strikes me that potentially this could be a lot more than about gratitude, right? Do you have a feel for that, and where it might go even beyond gratitude?
Yes, well, within my book, the rhymes that I've written are on many different life lessons, and gratitude was the first one that I chose because they'd done so much research on it and been using it for a long time. And there are other life lessons on here, on friendship, on forgiveness, on courage, faith, trust, and I would like to take those into schools as well. After the Global Gratitude Project has got off the ground, and that's all. Yes, so I would like to move on further with that. Yes.
Well, it sounds as if it really is already off the ground, isn't it? And you're contemplating, I think, a film as well. Tell us a little bit about that, I think.
Yes, I'd like to make a film with the children throughout the globe connected. So it'll be something very simple, of basically them on screen saying what they're grateful for and their beauty and the light that is them when they're saying that will just come through on the film.
Yeah.
And just flashes the children all over the globe. And see if we can get some of them actually in one place at one time as well, so they're connected. Yes, that's what I would like to do.
Now, one of my, if you like, traditional questions on sharing your passion is to ask you, the guest, about the joy that this brings. So tell us a little bit about the joy that this has brought you. And
well, being here for 5.5 years, I have been through many challenges and have thought many times that I wouldn't be able to stay here and I would have to go back down to the south of England, because I've lived here alone a lot and spent many months just on my own.
Right.
And always knowing that there was something that was going to come and that was a purpose that I was here for. And it's arrived. And inside I'm just elated, and it's just this wonderful light that's suddenly shining within me, and I'm able to do this, and it just feels so right. And if I'd known it was going to take 5.5 years, I don't think I would have had the courage to come here. But I'm glad it has taken that time, because that's released a lot of things within me, and now I'm ready to do this.
To really share your passion for this project, which is fantastic. Lindsay, you mentioned a few challenges along the way. Can you tell us about one of those, anything that really sort of shifted?
Well, it's because of the location that I've chosen to live in. It takes an hour and a half over the hills to get to Fort William, and you go across a ferry because I'm on a peninsula. And in the winter time I could be here with freezing water, so I have no water. Only able to chop a few logs to put on the wood burning stove, and it was very cold, and I was living in one room, and I would think, I used to have underfloor heating and all of these luxuries around me, and I would be kind of drawn back to that and go, what am I doing here? But still, the passion and the strength of finding my purpose was so strong that I knew I couldn't go back, and so I persevered. And I haven't got frostbite, I've still got all my fingers and my toes, and I lived through it, and it's made me a stronger person.
Is there any way, Lindsay, is there somewhere where people can contact you if they want to know more about this?
At the moment I've got an email, which is lindsay.gratitudeworkshop@gmail.com.
Okay.
There will be very shortly will be a website, and so anybody contacting that email address, there will be a website coming very quickly.
Lindsay, once again, thank you very much for agreeing to come on, sharing your passion. Delightful to hear, what you're doing, and I wish you so much luck with it.
Thank you very much, Dan, for the opportunity to be here.
And what can I say? Isn't that wonderful? So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you will have a look at the Global Gratitude Project, and maybe contact Lindsay if you want to know more or connect in any way. And thanks again for watching. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Ben.
And until the next Sharing Your Passion, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.